The story of Apollo 11. Part 1. The Race to the Impossible. Good evening. We often look back at the 20th century through the lens of conflict, the world wars, the Cold War. But tonight we're going to focus on a different kind of battle. One fought not with guns, but with ingenuity, daring, and ambition. It began in the late 1950s when the Soviet Union launched Sputnik, a tiny beeping satellite that shocked America and ignited the space race. For a nation that saw itself as the global leader in technology, the sight of a Soviet object orbiting overhead was a profound humiliation. Space was the new frontier, and America was losing. In 1961, against a backdrop of rising Cold War tensions, President John F. Kennedy stood before Congress and delivered a challenge that sounded less like a government proposal and more like a fever dream. I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal, before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth. Think about that goal for a moment. They had 8 years. The technology didn't exist. No human had ever left Earth's orbit. Yet that challenge was met with a monumental national effort, harnessing the minds of 400,000 scientists, engineers, and technicians across the United States, all united by a single, impossible deadline. Part 2. The journey begins. The mission was named Apollo 11. The crew: Commander Neil Armstrong, a famously calm test pilot; lunar module pilot Buzz Aldrin, the meticulous former fighter ace; and command module pilot Michael Collins, the crucial forgotten man who would circle the moon alone. On a humid morning, July 16, 1969, the colossal Saturn V rocket, the largest machine ever built, stood ready at Launch Complex 39A at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The sheer power required to push 3 men and their metal shell beyond Earth's gravity was staggering. At T-0, the 5 engines of the first stage roared to life, shaking the very ground of the Florida coast, producing an estimated 7.5 million pounds of thrust. The launch was perfect. For 4 days, the 3 astronauts traveled through the silent black void. Upon reaching lunar orbit, the mission entered its most critical phase. Armstrong and Aldrin climbed from the command module, Columbia, into the fragile lunar module, Eagle, preparing for descent. Collins, in Columbia, would circle the moon, a silent sentinel, knowing that if anything went wrong with the Eagle, he would have to return to Earth alone. Down below, the Eagle's descent began. Part 3. The Moment of Truth. What followed was 2 minutes of controlled, terrifying chaos. First, the Eagle pitched over, giving Armstrong his first view of the landing site. It was littered with boulders, a field of lethal obstacles. He instantly knew he had to override the automated computer and take manual control. He was now flying the equivalent of a delicate helicopter, with the entire world watching, toward an unfamiliar, rock-strewn surface. Then the alarms began to shriek. The computer, overloaded with data, started flashing 1202 and 1201 warnings. Inside Mission Control in Houston, a young controller named Guidance Officer Steve Bales had to make an instantaneous life-or-death decision: abort or continue. He determined the alarms were executive overflows, a computer glitch, but not a mission-critical failure. "We're go on that alarm," Bales confirmed, allowing the descent to continue. But the most chilling moment was yet to come. As the Eagle skimmed lower, a voice from the cockpit crackled over the radio. 40 feet, 20 feet, kicking up some dust. And then 30 seconds. The fuel warning. They had less than 30 seconds of descent propellant remaining. Armstrong, expertly maneuvering past a crater, gently settled the Eagle down. The call came through to Earth. "Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed." The date was July 20th, 1969. Mission Control erupted. Across America, church bells rang. In the streets, people danced. Part 4. The Giant Leap and the Legacy. 6 hours later, at 10:56 p.m. Eastern Time, Neil Armstrong squeezed through the Eagle's hatch. Millions gathered around black and white televisions to watch a blurry image of a man descending a ladder onto a dusty, alien landscape. He paused, then delivered the line that is forever etched in human history. "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." For 2.5 hours, Armstrong and Aldrin explored the Sea of Tranquility, planting the American flag, collecting samples, and leaving behind a plaque that read, "Here men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon, July 1969 AD. We came in peace for all mankind." The moon landing was a victory in the space race, yes, but its true legacy runs deeper. It was a reminder that when faced with an impossible challenge, when powered by a vision and united by a purpose, humanity can achieve the truly extraordinary. The spacesuit that Neil Armstrong wore, the command module Columbia, and the lessons learned, they are all enshrined today, not just as historical artifacts, but as testament to the power of the American spirit to look upward, embrace the unknown, and achieve the seemingly impossible.